Here we go. In 3, 2, 1. Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Back to Bits podcast. My name is John. That's Steephead Danny over there. What's going on, Danny?
Not much, man. What's up?
Same old, same old. Just
Yeah.
it's hot. That's all I know. It's hot. I'm tired of the heat already.
I hear you, man.
But you know, that's the way it is in the South in the summertime, I guess.
Indeed.
Yeah, well, but no, we finally had time to do a podcast, even though we wanted to try to do it every other week. Sometimes we run into life issues doing Fridays and stuff like that. And, you know, I've got 2 yards to mow now, and grass has been growing like nobody's business. And I have to send you the video of the little ground mole that I should have caught in my backyard. He was cute. You just see his butt sticking out of the ground, and he's trying to drill a hole in it. It's hilarious. I'll send it to you.
Nice.
I was like, oh, he's just a baby. But I really didn't realize that ground moles were really just that big. And I was like, well, I should have caught him and put him in a box and took him somewhere and dumped him so he wouldn't dig holes in my yard. But I was like, maybe he's a baby and I don't want to take him from his mama. But, oh, well, I'm a sucker. Cat will get him sometime. These stray cats around here, I'll just get him. They'll take care of it. But the things you see sometimes when you're mowing grass. Anyway, so we thought we had time, so we thought we'd do a quick podcast. I got some rants I'd like to do, and there's actually some news that's come up in the past couple days. Some interesting news to talk about. So, but first we'll talk about any new pickups or anything that we've gotten here lately.
Why don't you go first?
You want me to go first?
John?
Okay, I'll go first this time. One that I actually got a little while ago, and I actually didn't mention it on the show because I had so much of the last time. I picked up a complete in-box copy of Alex Kidd in Shinobi World.
That one I'm jealous of.
Yeah, it's the PAL version, but it's
matter.
complete. Yeah, it doesn't matter. It's region free, so you know it doesn't matter. But it's cool to have a copy of it complete. Now I just need High Tech World and I forget what the other one is. There's 2. I think there's 4, isn't there? Or is there 3? There's Miracle World, Shinobi, Tech.
I think it's just the 3.
Maybe it's just the 3. Maybe I only need Tech then. Maybe I got
Tech World's a weird one though. I've seen some gameplay of that one. That's a bizarre one.
It is bizarre, and I have it on my EverDrive over here.
Sure.
So but it is a weird one. But now it's like, well, I've already got Miracle World. I've got Shinobi World. I need to get Tech World just to have the complete set of the Master System ones.
I don't have any of them yet.
Yeah, I've been. Shinobi World is really cool because it's exactly like Revenge of Shinobi, except it's Alex Kidd. I mean, right down to the music and everything. Yeah, it's cutified, but the music and everything, it is. It is actually really cool, especially if you're a big Shinobi fan like I am. It is pretty cool, but it's like the most expensive one, and some dude on one of the Facebook groups had it for $50, and I went, "Oh, I'll take that for $50."
Yes, please.
Yeah, and nobody was interested in it. I guess either maybe they just didn't interested in the Master System stuff, or they just didn't want it because it was PAL. I don't know.
I think it's just not a big market for Master System. I mean, it's growing, but I still think there's a lot of people that just are not even aware that it's a thing.
Yeah, so weird. I mean, I don't know how hard some of those games are, but I mean, there's only 250 games for that system or something like that.
For U.S. release, I think. Well, no, I think for U.S. it was only like 180.
Yeah, maybe.
And then for like a European PAL, I think it was upwards towards 300. So yeah, you might be right.
Yeah, but I don't know how rare, super rare some of them are. I know Buster Douglas Knockout Boxing is pretty rare, but I mean, I even found a copy of that. So it's like, if I can find a copy of it, surely somebody can, because somebody else can, because I live in backwoods nowhere, so it's shouldn't be hard to find a copy of that. I say that, and people aren't going to pay $150 for a card-only game, but somebody did. But anyway, that's besides the point. I also got a complete in-box copy of Captain America and the Avengers for the Genesis. I have a loose copy of it for Super NES, but I wanted that one because it was complete in box, and it looked the cover art was really, really cool on it. But it's the exact same game as it is on the on the Super NES.
See, I've never played that one. It's a beat 'em up, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, it's a beat 'em up. Just like it's just a scaled down version of the arcade version that was out around the same time. So, but yeah, I mean, it was pretty cool to find that one complete in box. And there was 2 other games with it, and my buddy took those. I think I don't remember what the other 2 were. One of them was Mortal Kombat and something else. But anyway, and then I also found a Sega Saturn lot for my buddy a couple of weeks ago, and it had quite a few games in it. I forget how many games it had in it. There must have been 10. I don't even remember what all was in there. There was a lot though, and I ended up I kept 2 of them. I kept what did I keep? I kept Galactic. I got it right here because I can never remember it. Galactic Attack. It's a shoot 'em up. It's actually pretty cool. And then I kept Virtual Cop 2. It was complete in box. And
now, do you have the gun for the Saturn?
Yeah, I do. I actually have a Saturn gun. It's the only light gun that I've got other than I got one for the NES and this one. The one I got for the Master System doesn't work, and the one I got for the Dreamcast doesn't work anymore.
I've got one for the Saturn. It kind of works, but it shoots like 2 inches or so to the left of where it should.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of videos of people take those apart, and you can like recalibrate them by moving stuff around. But I'm always afraid to open them because I'm afraid like 17 springs will come flying out around the trigger, and I'll never get them back in there. So
no, it's usually not too bad. It's usually just a lens and like a weighted piece behind it or something. But I popped that one open. I wasn't able to get it to work right, but.
Yeah, I took apart my Master System gun thinking that it was, easy to fix. And that thing, there's nothing in it. There's 3 weights in the handle of that thing. They're about that long and about that big around. 3 lead weights. I was like, really? But I couldn't. 2 screws on the top were rusted to the point where they were gone. So there was no way to take it apart without busting it into a zillion pieces. So
yeah,
I just chalked it up to, well, it's gone, and that's fine.
Sure.
And then the other game was Virtua Fighter Remix. I actually didn't have that, and it's a little sample that you got free.
Very cool.
It's got all the moves on the back of it. I don't know if you can see that. It's kind of bright hitting my lights, but it's got all the moves on the back of it. But
the Justifier is the Konami gun. One of our viewers asking about a gun called the Justifier.
Yeah.
That was the Konami one for what games for that? For Lethal Enforcers.
Yeah, Lethal Enforcers. That's
I believe there was a blue one and a pink one. I think the blue one was for Genesis, and I think the pink one was for SNES.
Something like maybe that. Or backwards. I don't remember.
Yeah, maybe they were interchangeable or something. I'm not sure, but yeah. That was the Konami gun.
Yeah, I remember that. I remember that one. I always wanted one. I never had one, but I remember when they sold them. I remember seeing them in stores. I remember
just this big bright blue revolver.
Yeah, they were so cool looking. I have a Menacer for the Genesis, and it's actually the one that I had as a kid. I still got the box for it, but for some reason I can't find. I used to know where the receiver was, but I didn't know where the gun was. And then I found the gun, but now I can't find the receiver. So it's.
Well, I'd imagine you can find one for pretty cheap. Like for example, for like Super Scope, you don't see very many Super Scopes, but I see the little IR reader or whatever it is, like all over the place. That's not the only piece you ever find is that in the cartridge.
See, I have one. You could see it right there, complete in box, but it doesn't work. And I don't know if it's the receiver or if it's the gun. I don't know which, and I don't know how to tell without buying another receiver. I don't know anything about it. And so I've never tried to take that thing apart and see if there's something wrong on the inside.
Yeah, something like that with a little bit more working parts than just a single button. I'd be afraid to mess with too much.
So since it's in the box, it just sits over there and it looks cool. So
yeah, mine's up there. That's out of focus.
Yeah, that's all it is. It's just a showpiece now. And of course, like I said, most of the Saturn games went to my buddy. He bought those. He'd been looking for a Saturn, and I think for the entire lot, I only paid. I think he only paid $100 for it. It was really cheap.
Wow. And that's rare too, because I mean, let alone getting a good price on a lot of Saturn games, much less finding a lot of Saturn games. It just doesn't happen.
Yeah, and I don't. Let's see here. I can tell you. Let me pull up the picture here. This is what I do now. Is when I get stuff for him, I take pictures of it, so I always remember what it was. It was actually a guy that I have dealt with before. I actually bought his That's how I got my Model 1 Sega CD. I bought it from him at his yard sale last year for $10, and he didn't even know if it worked. And it had Sulfise in it.
Nice.
He didn't even know it was in there because
cool.
he never opened it up. Let's see. It had WrestleMania Arcade, Tomb Raider, NASCAR '98, Steep Slope Sliders. It was like a
that sounds like
snowboarding
like
game.
Porno.
Yeah, it does. It's really weird. And then Mutant or Battle Monsters was the other one.
Mm-hmm.
And then there was a couple of loose games. I don't even remember what they were.
Sure.
But it had 2 controllers. And he even found the box and gave me the box, threw in the box too. So
That's cool.
yeah, it was pretty neat.
Now, are the controllers the first gen controllers, or are they the second gen?
The system was the system was second gen. The controllers were first gen. Actually,
Good.
one was first gen and one was second gen. So
that's how mine was. I got one first gen and one second gen. Those second gen controllers are just trash.
yeah, and that's what
They're
I
so
have.
bad.
I had never played with a first gen controller, and he wanted me to test it all out and stuff before I gave it to him and stuff. So I was playing with it. I'm like, man, those controllers are nice.
Yeah.
So now it's like, yeah, I got to find me a first gen controller.
Yeah, those first gen Saturn controllers are legit, and it's interesting that the first gen can be such a good controller.
Yeah.
Then the second gen can be just terrible.
It feels
They
so good.
They skimped out on quality on parts, and it's more clicky, and the L and R triggers have that weird springy click to it. I don't like that.
Yeah, and you're not kidding. Some of them Saturn games are not cheap, and they keep going up.
Oh yeah. I saw somebody selling a copy of Dragon Force the other day, and I was like, I really just want to jump on this because I know I'm not going to find it any cheaper. He was asking $180 for CIB, and that one goes for like $300. Mm-hmm. I'm not in the position to spend $180 on a game. Otherwise, I would have jumped right on that.
It's so hard to spend that much money on games. I sent you that picture of the dude in town here that's selling Dragon or Breath of Fire 1 and 2, mm-hmm. and I forget what the other game was for it. It was something, or Earthbound maybe? I don't remember. It's like $180 he wanted for all 3 of them. It's like, man, that's a really good deal. But man, that's $180.
Exactly. It's like, you're going to kick yourself about it later, but it's like, what are you going to do? If it's not in your means, it's not in your means,
Yeah, I mean, it's like I'm glad some of the expensive games I got back in the day, like Panzer Dragoon and stuff like that, because they're games I want.
That's one I'll never own.
Yeah, I would never own it if I hadn't bought it so cheap 17, 18 years ago. I think I paid $60 or $70 for it, and I thought I was crazy then. And now it's worth 10 times that.
Yeah, it's going to be $600, $700 in if it's in good condition.
Yeah, and it's crazy, but that's a discussion for later on.
Yeah. What else did you pick up?
The other thing I picked up was I found a Eric that I do the other podcast with. He'd been looking for a Sega Sports Dreamcast, black Dreamcast. Mm-hmm. And a guy locally here had one. He wanted $50 for it. It came with both sports games and the system and one controller.
And sports games were NFL 2K and NBA 2K, correct?
Yes. Yeah. Nothing fancy.
Sure.
Nothing expensive.
Still good games, though.
Yeah, good games.
I'm not a fan of sports games, but I enjoy me some NFL 2K.
Yeah, I do too. So I went and got it, and when I met the guy, he was like, yeah, he said, this guy maybe played this thing 3 times. And you could tell, I mean, it doesn't smell like cigar smoke. It looks pristine. The controller still felt brand new, hardly broke in. It was crazy how good a condition that thing was. And like I said, he only wanted $50 for it. So, and Eric wasn't interested in the games. I needed 2K because I actually have the complete in box. I just don't have the games for it. I don't know where the games are. So now mine's officially 100% complete in box because I'm keeping the 2 games, and they've never been touched. Maybe once.
You got the warranty cards and everything.
Yeah, I got all the warranty,
nice.
the directions, everything. I just didn't have those 2 games, and I don't remember where I got it. If I got it off eBay or. Mm-hmm. I had 2 at one time, and I think I bought that one off eBay, and then before it came, I found one at GameStop on clearance back in the day, and I bought it because you just didn't see them. Because I had 2 of them for the longest time and ended up selling one to a buddy when I got my modded Dreamcast. I'm always under the impression that I don't I could never have enough Dreamcasts, but 3 or 4 was getting to be a little much.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you can say that now, but I mean, if you come across like a Hello Kitty Dreamcast for like a really good price, or one of the which is it's like a translucent teal, the one that was a Japanese exclusive. If you come across either of those for a good price, you may say you have enough Dreamcasts now, but I guarantee you're going to be picking that up.
Oh yeah, you better believe I would. But it's like every time I see a Dreamcast on a trade site or locally, it's like, oh, they only want $20. You know what? I ought to pick that. Why do I need another Dreamcast? Just a regular old. I don't need another one. It's okay.
I mean, it's okay. You never know when you need a spare.
I guess.
Or 5.
Yeah, or 5. So it's like, and my wife just looks at me and says, hey, don't buy that. You don't need it. Yeah, you're right.
But I want it.
Yeah, but I want it. I don't know. It's just one of them things where it's like, I just can't let a Dreamcast go to waste because I love Dreamcast so much. But
sure, it's a fun console.
Yeah,
it really is.
I think it's still, as of right now, it's still my favorite console that I've ever had. So.
I really like it. It's just the lack of software on it. I mean, the library is kind of small compared to other stuff around the day.
I think I'm up to about 60 or 70 games, I think.
Nice.
I haven't bought any in years. I haven't bought any games in a long time. There's really not that much out there that I still want, and the ones that I would like to have are way too expensive for me to pay for. So.
Yeah, I think I've got about 15 or so.
Yeah. I got all the good ones, and they're all ones that I originally bought when the system was out. They're not ones that I bought afterwards. Because I went a little crazy when they discontinued, and I went to every Walmart I could go to and bought every game on clearance they had, and most of them were $5 a piece at the time.
Hey, there you go. It paid off in the end.
Oh, yeah. So I definitely had to stock up on things. I think I got... Eric was asking me, he's like, do you have any extra memory cards? I'm like, well, I've got 12, but I really don't want to give any of them up. I mean, technically, yes, I have extra, but I don't have extra. I need all 12 of them.
What do you need 12 for? You know I have 4 Dreamcasts.
Yeah, yeah. And could you imagine how much money I'd have to pay to replace all the batteries and all 12 of those? Because I need 24 of those little, watch batteries.
The UMDs, yeah.
Yeah,
because each one, it takes 2 batteries for each unit, right?
Yep.
You know the fatal flaw in those things. Let me go on a tiny rant real quick.
All right,
it's a really cool concept. I loved it. It was a great idea for the visual memory card. But when you shut the system off, if you leave it in there, it doesn't shut off the memory card. You have to do it manually, which is an awful idea.
Yeah.
And so it's like you put brand new batteries in it, you play it, you turn it off. You go to bed. The next day, you play it again, and it's friggin' dead again.
Yeah, it was aggravating.
It's terrible design. Otherwise, I loved it. It was a cool little thing.
I used to take them to work all the time and raise my little chocobo.
Your little chow.
Or chow, or whatever it was. A little chow's a chocobo. That's Final Fantasy.
Chocobo.
Chow. But yeah, I used to take them, be standing over there at work just playing with that little thing, thinking it was the coolest thing ever, but...
Well, it was smart because those Gigapets and Virtual Pets in general were still pretty big at the time.
Oh yeah, yeah they were. I mean, it was. But yeah, I loved the Dreamcast. I loved it a lot. I still love it. Not loved it. I love it. So, Danny, what did you get? You got a really cool one there. The first one, right off the top of the bat.
So I got a copy of Ogre Battle for Super Nintendo.
Yeah.
And I'm not big. For those of you that don't know, it's kind of a strategy wartime. Tactical strategy RPG, basically. Yeah. We'll put it that way. That's not my cup of tea. Like, I enjoy like Final Fantasy Tactics, something tactics light like that.
Yeah.
Every once in a while, but I prefer standard turn-based stuff. So it's not really my thing, but they had it at the local video game store. I saw it. I didn't want to pay what they were asking for it. They were asking $90 for it. And I was like, that's one I'd like to have, but it's not one I want to play. It's just a shelf piece. It's one I should have in my collection that I don't have yet, but... I'm not going to be like, oh, I want to go home and play this right now. So I passed on it, and then I think 2 weeks later I went in there, well, maybe not even 2 weeks, maybe about a week and a half. I went in there with a buddy, and so like I'm looking around, and it's still there. It's still for $90. And the owner walks up and says, you know what? I'm not going to sell you that Ogre Battle for $70. I'm like, okay. He said, I'm not going to sell it to you for $70. And he points to the other guy behind the register. He said, but he will. I thought about it, and I'm like, All right, yeah, sure, I'll take it. So
Yeah.
I got me a copy of Ogre Battle, and I immediately let my buddy who I was with borrow it because I'm not. I was like, "Here, you take it home. Just bring it back whenever you're done with it. And it'll go on the shelf." Again, it's just one I should have. It's not one I,
Exactly. Yeah.
So,
Well, see,
so
but
that's pretty.
that's good to know. Good to be in with your owners because they sit on something long enough and they know that you're interested in it. Next time you
Right.
come in, they'll cut you a deal just to get rid of it. They
Exactly, and
don't
I
like
mean,
to sit on stuff too long.
right. I'm not, and not to toot my own horn or anything, but I spend a lot of money there. That's
Oh,
my main.
I know you do
feel like
because
I'm
I
the
used
best
to.
customer.
I used to work there, so yeah, I know. You,
I've been dropping fat stacks in there for 2 years since they've
yeah.
been open.
yeah. I worked there for the first 6 months that place was open. So
That's where we
how
met, yeah.
that's how me and you met. So I know how much you spend it, how much you used to spend in there, and I'd always cut you a deal. So
That's what I'm saying. Like I worked around the corner, I
Yeah.
still work around the corner. I go there like once a week on my lunch break just to see what's new, because you sleep on something and you're gonna miss something good. So you always got to check frequently. So. But
Yep.
yeah, it gets me in trouble sometimes. But
That's why
it
I'm
is
kind
what
of
it is.
glad we don't have we have a local store here, but it's not like within even a mile. So it's like, okay, I
Sure.
don't go there very often because, they're always like, oh, if you're looking for something, leave your name. Nope, that's okay.
Yeah.
If
Yeah,
I
I
come
don't-
in and they have it, that's fine. If not, I'm not worried about it
Right.
because I gotta go, I'll go crazy with it. So nope.
Let me know if you see any Saturn or TurboGrafx.
Yeah. Yeah. TurboGrafx you never see around here.
Yeah,
Never.
yeah. Same here. Like I said, Saturn and TurboGrafx. I think is just. I feel like I see more 3DO things than Saturn or TurboGrafx, which is weird.
Yeah, I've never, since we've moved home, I've never seen any 3DO stuff here.
They've gotten some more up at Matt's, and like they got a 3DO and Gex that they were selling for 109, and I was like, man, I was just in there yesterday.
I saw that on Facebook, and
It's like I would have bought that if that was there when I went there.
the last time
And it
I
was
was,
gone.
the last time I stopped in, they had one, and
Yeah.
Justin was like, "Oh yeah," I said, "If you want it, I'll give you a good deal on it." And I was like, "Dude, I really can't spend the $100 on it, but I want to
Yeah.
so bad." But
Yeah, it's a neat one, and to have in my collection. It's one
Yeah.
I've never even played. Like a lot of the consoles I have now. If it wasn't something I grew up with as a kid, it's probably something I never played never played or saw in real life until I had my own in front of me.
the only time that I ever played one was when we got a 3DO in when I was working at Matt's,
Right.
and I had to test it, make sure it worked, and then after they left, I sat there and played it for maybe 10 or 15 minutes because I'd never played one before, and I don't know, Agamemnon asks, "Is a 3DO, is it worth getting though?" It's one of those. To me, it's an obscure system that. I mean, that thing was like, what was it? That was the electronic device of the year in like 1995. I mean,
Right.
but it was what, $600 or something insane. But
Yeah, those
I
old
mean-
disc-based consoles before disc was the standard, were expensive, man. You
Yeah.
got your CDI, your 3DO, your Amiga CD, all
Yeah.
that stuff was like way high priced.
And if you ask me right now, what is the best game on 3DO? I couldn't tell you. I couldn't tell you what it was. I don't know
Nope.
enough games
As
on
far
it
as
to
like
know. But
exclusives, I don't think they had much anything. But I'm pretty sure one of my buddies that I used to go in there with a lot bought a lot of those 3DO games.
yeah, I remember Wing Commander.
Yeah,
you
Gex
know,
again is the
Gex,
obvious one.
Yeah, that was the one.
But that was ported to everything else.
right. Yeah, but yeah, I mean, if I ever had the opportunity to get 3DO and it was affordable, I would buy it. Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean,
buy it.
because why friggin' not? Plumbers don't wear it. Oh man, that's a
True.
weird one.
Yeah. It is. But anyway, so what else did you get? Anything?
Well, I've been working on trying to complete my Legend of Zelda collection. That's I got all the Blaster Master games, which is not a big collection, and then
Right.
I got all the Metroid games. I was only missing a few there, so I thought I'd go on to Legend of Zelda next. So I've been working on that one, and I got a copy of Skyward Sword recently. A buddy of mine had one that's in damn near mint condition. He sold me for $20. So I was
Wow,
like,
that's
all
a
right,
good
I'm
deal.
definitely, yeah, exactly. And it still has the 25th anniversary Symphony CD that
Oh,
came
that's
with
cool.
it.
That's worth the price of admission right there.
Yeah, so that one's nice to have. And I also actually, I didn't put it on the notes because I didn't even think about it, but I picked up Hyrule Warriors on the Switch. I've
Yeah.
been playing that one. It's pretty fun. I passed on the Wii U and the 3DS versions, so I had to get one to complete the set, and I figure I'm more inclined to play the Switch version than I am the Wii U version.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I also got Link's crossbow training recently.
Am I the only one that bought that the day one it came out? I mean, it seems like
What, the crossbow training?
Yeah,
I never had it.
I
mean,
bought
you-
it.
you
I
see-
bought it in the box. I've still got the box with the gun and
Right.
you know, I bought that thing when it first came out. Of course, I was working at GameStop at the time, so
Sure, and it's ironic. Like like up at Matt's, they had like 7 copies in at one point for $1, and I used to just like skip past them because what the hell would I care? And then I'm like, oh, I'm gonna complete the Zelda collection. I go up there and they don't have any.
of course.
They finally got one in decent condition like 2 months later after me asking about it every time I went in there, and so I
Wow.
got that last time as well.
That's funny.
Yeah. Another one I got also recently is one of those PS1 games that everyone seems to love that I've never played before, and that's Legend of Dragoon.
Yep.
So many of my friends are like, "Oh man, you got to play that game!" And I remember when it was new, like it was everybody's favorite RPG next to
Yeah.
Final Fantasy VII. But it's just one I never got around to checking out, and I saw a copy recently, and I was like, "Yeah, I'll pick it up." It was like $25 in
Yeah.
pretty good condition, so
It's pretty cool.
why not?
I
You know,
bought. I used to own the Greatest Hits version and the strategy guide, and I think
Nice.
I traded it a couple of years ago for something. I don't even remember what I traded it for. But yeah, it's a super fun game. I really like it a
Yeah.
lot. It's really
Yeah,
good.
yeah, again, I don't think I've ever heard anything negative about it, except for maybe that it's a little bit long, because it is 4
Yeah.
discs after
It
all.
is pretty long.
But yeah, I've always heard really good things, and it's one it's always been on like my back burner bucket list of I need to get this, and I need to at least play it a little bit to see what it's all about.
Yeah.
So it's cool to have that one. I hadn't put it in yet though.
Oh yeah, you got to. The cutscenes are really good, and he's right. It's more of a Mario RPG style battle system, which is really cool.
I do like the active timed hits, and it just feels like you're doing more than just mashing the A button.
Yeah, absolutely.
One last thing that I picked up, and I am setting a Back to Bits podcast record for
Yeah.
the most expensive item on pickups, and that is I bought a house.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I am a homeowner now.
Very, very cool.
We've been here for about a month, hence the different view.
Yeah,
New
it looks
game mode.
nice. It looks really
Thanks.
nice. Yeah, looks
appreciate
really good.
that.
Yeah,
It's smaller, so things are kind of more cramped together, and I got to put
Yeah,
up some
but
more
that's-
wall shelves for my Atari games and stuff. But
that's all right.
yeah, it's a work in progress, but
Yeah.
we're pretty comfortable here. We're
Yeah,
happy
cool.
with it. I
That's
mean,
awesome.
otherwise we wouldn't have bought it.
Well, yeah. I mean, I hope you wouldn't have spent money, that kind of money
It's
on a house that
okay.
you
Yeah,
didn't like.
yeah, we'll
"Eh,
live here for a while.
Yeah, we wanted, but we're gonna live here for just a little while, and then we're gonna move on up like George and Wheezy and buy another place. So-
Right.
But,
But,
no, that's
yeah, it's
awesome
just-
though.
Yeah, man, it's a small house, but it's on an acre of land. Our front yard is really, really long.
Yeah.
It's up to the main road. There's lots of privacy, trees around us. It's a good fit for us.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah,
Yeah.
So one thing we used to own a house down there, and now we rent. But still, housing market has really come back since we left down there. So there's a lot of good finds.
It's a
for good
seller's
prices.
market, though,
Yeah.
for real. Like, they put stuff up, and it's gone like that. So
Yeah.
you really need to jump on stuff.
Yeah, it's crazy. Around here it's not like that, but down there it's when we left it wasn't like that. It took us 6 or 7 months to sell our house, but if we would have sold it now, or even in the past year, it probably wouldn't have stayed on the market very long. And now
Sure.
I hear rumors that Amazon is talking about moving into Raleigh, moving their headquarters into Raleigh, and Apple is too. And it's like, you talk about housing market explode, it's going to get even bigger up there. So
Yeah.
you probably, if things work out and they do move headquarters there, you may have gotten in at the right time. That property value may go up in a couple of years. So.
Well, I mean, we already got instant equity. Like, it
Yeah.
got appraised for $1,000 more than we paid for, and we paid more than asking price because things are going so fast.
Yeah.
So instant equity. So
Well, in that area that you're in too is a nice area. So
yeah.
my niece went to college there. So
Oh, in Elon.
yeah. So
Nice.
it used to be up there a lot, and it's grown since she was in college. It's crazy.
Yeah,
how big it's grown.
they actually bought. Well, they didn't bought, but they're tearing down Elon Elementary School.
Oh,
Yeah,
Wow.
the college is taking over that area for, I guess, student housing or something,
Huh.
and in return, in payment for that, they're building a brand new Elon Elementary like a couple miles down the road.
That's crazy. But
Yeah.
if any university down there can afford it, it's Elon's.
Oh yeah. Yeah, they own a town. I mean,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah, it's like I say, it's not a cheap university. They have money. I felt
Yeah.
very uncomfortable when I went on that campus because I was not. I am not. I'm not of that money that's
right.
that goes to that school. But my niece went there, so that tells you, if that tells you anything. So,
Sure.
but yeah, but that's pretty cool. That's awesome. I'm glad you bought a house. It's very cool to be a homeowner. Yeah, there's pros and cons to it. It's nice because you could do whatever you want, but if something
a lot of
breaks,
work.
it's on you. So
Yeah. I mean, we've just been like getting the shed because we have an outer building as well. Getting
Yeah.
the sheds cleaned out and maintaining the yard and just taking care of stuff here and there, cleaning because it's a used house. It's not going to be spotless,
Right,
you know?
yeah.
So you got to wipe out cabinets and stuff like that and clean
Yeah.
floors, and it's been a lot of work. We've been really
Yeah.
busy, but
I believe it.
like you said, it's all for the greater
Oh
good.
yeah,
I guess.
yeah. It's totally worth it. It's like when now we've had a couple problems here at the house. I had some water leaking down here the other night, and the air conditioner quit working. It's like, man, if I'd owned this house, that all would have been on me. But now I can kind of call somebody and go, yeah, you need to kind of get somebody out here to fix it.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong, that was nice as well.
That was nice, but it's something. It's just nice to have your own, though. It's something that you can do whatever you want. If you want to, pull up the carpet and put hardwood floors down, you can. If you want to, you want to do this or want to do that, and it's money that you're putting into yours, not money you're putting into somebody else's. So,
Right.
that's the big difference. But yeah, very cool. Now you're officially an American citizen because you own property and pay taxes on it. So.
I'm the most adultiest I can get.
Yep,
right now.
you can't get any more adulty than that.
Yep.
You got a kid, you got a
Got a
house,
kid, career, degree,
yep,
house,
house.
wife.
I can't think of anything else that a dog maybe. I mean, I don't know.
I got a voter registration card.
Yeah, see, I mean, there's nothing else to get from here on out. You're moving. There's nowhere else to go. You've plateaued.
Game over, man. Game over.
All right, well, let's get into the news real quick. There's
Sure.
a couple of odd things that I wanted to talk about. One, the Atari VCS system came up on
Yeah.
Indiegogo, and they were asking $100,000 for their goal. They have 8,000, almost 9,000 backers. They're up to about $2.3 million as of the time
Yep.
of this recording. So it's like 2,300% more than what they were asking.
Yeah.
I don't understand.
Okay, yeah. So what exactly is it? It's a plug. It's an Ouya. It's an Ouya.
That's all it is. To me, it's a Ouya. It plays. It's going to be preloaded with hundreds of Atari 2600 games.
Which is cool.
Yeah, that's cool. It comes with the classic one button joystick. It's wireless.
Well, a revamped one, a redesigned.
Yeah.
It looks a
Yeah.
little sleeker, a little bit better form factor, but
Yeah.
essentially the same design. Yeah.
Yeah, and then it comes with a regular, Xbox style looking controller, I guess you could say.
Right.
Because it's going to do more. You're going to be able to stream, like Netflix and YouTube and stuff like that. It has voice command in it. If you watch the video, you could just go, Atari, play Tempest 4000, and it'll just go bloop, and it'll bring it up. Which, I mean, that's cool and all, but I mean,
Yeah.
that's not anything groundbreaking.
Yeah. I think the biggest thing here is the brand recognition and nostalgia.
Yeah.
That's a huge factor here. Oh, Atari's back, but B, it's like, I don't know, they have the potential to become something more here, but I don't think that the people that are going to buy it are going to want it for that. Sure, it has all these features, but if you have a PS3, a PS4, 360, an Xbox One, a Switch, you have all this. Well, maybe not Switch, because Switch doesn't have all those video streaming apps yet. But you know what I'm saying? Like, odds are, if you're, between the ages of, I don't know, 15 and 48, just to throw out a number, you're going to have some sort of consoleized something that can get apps and stream, whether it be your TV, a Roku, a Flash stick, So it's cool that it's doing all these things, but is it really necessary? And is it really worth the asking price? Because I mean, you got to think
$300.
Yeah,
It's
$299 for the console for the basic setup, and then you can, pay extra for exclusive like an Onyx version. It's all black without the wood grain or
right.
Stuff like that.
I don't know.
But,
it seems weird. It's Linux based with an AMD processor. It has smart home integration. It's compatible with most PC apparel or if I could talk peripherals. It's got entertainment system connectivity. I don't know. It just seems weird that somebody's willing to pay $300 for a Atari system that does Atari stuff and essentially stuff that a Ouya or even a Fire TV or an Apple
like
TV,
a Flash Stick or something
like that does. When you can go down to Dollar General and buy an Atari Flashback and play
for $20,
yeah. And it looks like the back of it looks like it has like a memory card slot on the back of it, so that thing will be hacked to crap before long.
Well, I'm sure it's going to be playing all sorts of emulators and stuff.
Looks like 4 USB ports. There's HDMI. There's Ethernet. That must be power. And then there's a reset button on the back, which is always a good thing, I guess, if it freezes up on you.
Yeah, I will say that the UI that they showcase on the page is pretty cool. It's got all the original art and stuff, and it's all listed A to Z, and I guess you can search, and looks like you can see what's popular and whatnot. So, I mean, it is cool in that regard. But like we've been saying, it just does everything something that everything already does.
Yeah.
Like, is it really necessary, and are they really going to be able to break into this market beyond this crowdfunding campaign?
think people are going to be paying $299 for an Ouya, and we all see where the Ouya ended up. And,
yeah.
But
also, this is a brand thing, so it's going to go on people's shelves. It's going to be if this is all that happens is just this campaign, and it doesn't go anywhere after that, then these will be worth a lot of money in the future.
Yeah, well,
regardless of if it's of its functionality, it's again, it's like fans will buy anything with Nintendo strapped to it.
Right.
Yeah. I'm guilty of that too.
Oh yeah, I mean I am too. It looks like it's $299. It comes with the system, wood grain, and the joystick. If you want the bundle with the other controller, it's $339. Of course, if it's PC compatible with stuff and has Bluetooth in it, and you have an Xbox One, you can probably pair that Xbox One controller up to it, or even your PS4 controller up to it.
And if you can't yet, somebody will make some sort of driver for it to where you can.
Exactly. Yeah, I agree. I'm a Nintendo sucker too. I'm also a Sega sucker. So if Sega puts out anything, I'll also buy that too. But I mean, if you want to buy an extra controller, the classic joystick's $30 or $29. The modern is $49. It's just, I don't know. It just, I keep asking myself, is this something we need? But I don't know. I think it's just a cash grab for nostalgia, and it's just where people see, Atari, it's Atari. Well, I remember an Atari.
Absolutely.
I had an Atari.
I think if this was an upstart, no-name company, it wouldn't have gotten nearly as much funding as it has, because everyone would look at it and say, well, my PS4 can do everything this can do. Well, why would I need this?
Well, and what's bad is they've been so vague. I got PR emails from them for weeks, which is saying, here's what it looks like, and it's coming soon, and with no information on what it did,
trying to build
anything.
that hype.
It's just like, I'm not buying it. I'm thinking it's more of a vaporware thing, and now it turns out that it is real, I guess, unless something just happens and they don't actually produce a lot.
Unless it goes all chameleon on us.
Mm-hmm. And I don't know how Indiegogo works. Do they get their money back if
Indiegogo is they get it no matter what. I'm not sure if there's like different settings, but from what I understand, what I've always understood is that's the big difference, is that by default Indiegogo, I think you just get the money.
Okay.
Yeah, I think I'm not 100% because I've backed like one thing on Indiegogo and it happened, so I don't really know.
I've never backed anything on Indiegogo, so I have no idea. I've never done anything with Indiegogo.
Right.
Speaking of things coming out of left field, Tommy Tallarico is bringing back the Intellivision. This kind of just totally came out of left field. I had no idea that they were even this was even a thing, or there's even a market for the Intellivision. And there's no real information about it other than he's doing it. He had a Facebook thing today, and I didn't get to see it. It was like at 3:00 Eastern Standard Time, where people could come on and ask questions, and he would answer them. But I like that. Yeah, Intellivision. I mean,
and for me, like the most bizarre thing is like, okay, we've seen Coleco try to come back. We're seeing the Atari come back. We've seen the, all the resurgence of these classic style knockoff and remade consoles. So to hear that Intellivision's going to have their own thing is not that surprising. Yeah. But Tommy Tallarico, I know him as a composer first and foremost. So it's a bizarre. It's just such a weird thing to think about. Like, this video game composer is bringing back this classic video game company with a new console. It's weird. So weird.
Well, it says it's going to be out October 1st. You can go to their website to get updates for it. He said it won't run Netflix. They're not trying to do 3D.
Right.
It said it'll have 10 games ready for it, and the machine will run an emulator to play the old games. It'll have Wi-Fi and a USB or a SD memory card slot to download the games to. So I'm guessing that you'll have to buy the games separately. It's not.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be a preloaded. I think that they're going for like. And I don't know if they're going to be like classic Intellivision games. I mean, I'm sure those will be available, but I think the 10 games that they're offering, the way it sounds is that it's going to be its own games. It's like its own thing, like new games, but retro stuff. Because they did say that they're targeting non-gamers. Yeah. So they're going to come out with different apps and stuff. And I guess the concept there, I think he said, is they want to make it a family experience to play these games instead of mobile that everyone has now, which is as he said, it was a very solitary experience. And it is, because you got your face buried in your phone, you're blocking out everybody, whether deliberate or not. So it'll be interesting to see what comes out of this. But I mean, there's just not a lot of information out there. It's just this weird thing. For those of you that don't know, Tommy Tallarico, he did music for The Terminator, Aladdin, and The Seventh Guest, and a bunch of other stuff.
He also does the Video Game Live concert that goes around from town to town. We went and saw it. It was in Charleston here in January, and we went and saw it. And it is a fantastic show. And he was there and played with the orchestra and stuff. Played the guitar with the orchestra and stuff. Really cool. Fantastic show. He seems like a really cool guy. This just seems like a very odd thing. If it says here on the website, the first 100,000 people to sign up will get an exclusive opportunity to purchase a special and unique limited edition version of the console that will not be made available in stores. But I mean, that's it. Even on the press release, it's pretty much what it's Intellivision.com, and I don't know. It's really, really weird.
Yeah, we'll see what comes of it, but that's bizarre.
Yeah, and I mean, that's a very specific crowd that likes Intellivision. You're going back even around Atari or maybe a little before.
Yeah, I mean, Intellivision is before my time. I mean, I have an Intellivision and about 30 games for it, and it's a cool little system. It was very ambitious with the keypad and all that, and the disc, the little spin disc instead of a D-pad. But yeah, that's old school. That's before me.
Yeah, we could have stayed around and met Tallarico, but they had a meet and greet afterwards. But man, it was 11 o'clock, and I was like, you know what, we still got an hour ride back home. So it was like I didn't hang around to meet. They had the girl who did the voice for Ash there and stuff like that, and Pokemon, which would have been cool. But it was like there's too many people, and I'm tired. But yeah, I mean, this is it's odd. It's very, very odd. But
it's a bizarre one there.
That's all right. Whatever. I mean,
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. It could be cool.
Yeah, it could be. I don't know.
It's definitely one worth watching. I guess.
Yep. And one little last bit of news I wanted to put on here for anybody who is looking for an NES Classic. They are going to go on sale again June 29th.
Finally.
Nintendo promised they would be out in the summer, so that's cutting it pretty close. That's the first week of summer, I think. So I haven't heard. I don't think GameStop is doing pre-orders. I did read somewhere that GameStop said that they were having enough inventory that they would not have to do pre-orders for it.
Well, and with this SNES Classic, Nintendo's like, look, we know the NES was hard to find. We're going to make the SNES really easy to get, and now you see them all over the place.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
They made good on their word there, so I don't doubt that there'll be plenty to go around. But you know what? It's going to be fun watching the scalpers buy a bunch in bulk and then start selling them for less in retail because they're abundantly available.
Well, and there's still been people around trying to sell them for twice the value,
and it's like these are everywhere now. Yeah. You can walk into any random Target and they're going to have at least like 2 of them.
A buddy's son texted me around Christmas time and said, I know you keep up with this stuff. Is it worth it to buy? I want to buy my brother-in-law a an NES Classic, and I found one for $120. Should I buy it for him for Christmas? I said, no. I said, hold off. Wait till the summer. You'll get one for $60 and give it to him next Christmas. I said, it'll be easy. I said, it'll be easy to get one then. Don't pay these scalper prices for these things.
So I may end up getting one because I have the SNES Classic that I got for free. I didn't have to pay a dime for that. Yeah. So
Well, I have one back there. I got it the day it come out. I'm pretty sure I told this story how easy it was for me to get one. I mean, I was in New Jersey working at the time, and I had to get the car worked on. I was up way early in the morning. I got there at 7:30 in the morning to have them work on the car while I was on that trip. And when I got done, I drove over to the mall that was right across the highway and walked in, and there was 4 people standing in line, and GameStop had 6. So I just stood there in line until they opened, and I got one and went back to the hotel and played NES the rest of the weekend,
Right place, the right time.
Yeah, and everybody was like, oh, these are impossible to get. I go, I didn't have a problem getting it. I just walked right up to the door. But,
to be fair, they were next to impossible to
get. They were.
On the ground floor.
Yeah, they were.
You just happened to get lucky.
Did. I got very lucky. But it was very funny for me to go, oh, no, it wasn't that hard to get one at all. I didn't have to tackle anybody or fight anybody or nothing. It was simple.
But can you imagine the one guy that came in like an hour after they opened, all frazzled, like, please tell me you have one, and they had one left?
There was 15 people that came in while we were standing in line, and we all had to turn and say, nope, they're all spoken for. Nope, they're all spoken for.
Look at what I got.
Yeah, and that was it. And, I played it for that weekend, and I kid you not, I have not played it again, and that's been a year and a half, almost 2 years now. I haven't played it. Yeah, I played my Super NES one once or twice, and then I put it back in the box, and it's in a little plastic protector case up on the shelf, and it looks nice, but I never play it. But I wanted it.
One of my stepbrothers had one. I played it up in Christmas when we were visiting family in Maryland. But like the one I got, I haven't even opened it because I'm like, I have all these games except for Star Fox 2, and if I'm really hard pressed to play that one, I'll download a ROM or buy a repro copy. Yeah. So I mean, it's like, should I open it for the little man to play? No. I have all these games. You can play those games. Yeah. So I'm like, I don't really have any reason to open it, so it's just going to sit there.
Yeah, that's the way with me.
It'll probably be the same for the NES as well.
Yeah, it's just a cool little thing to have, and everybody goes, "Oh, you got one?" Yeah, but I mean, it is neat, especially for people that don't collect games that want to play.
Right, it's a good entry thing. Here's all the games you remember on one little box.
Yeah.
Enjoy.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. So, on to the main topic that I wanted to fuss about.
Tell us how you feel, John.
Oh, my gosh. And I texted you a couple of weeks ago when we were going to try to do a show, and I was like, can we do a show this Friday? Because I got something I want to rant about.
I'm angry.
So, one thing that came out a couple of weeks ago, Metal Jesus, who's a YouTuber, a very big YouTuber. I think he's got 500,000 followers subscribers on YouTube, something insane.
He's got quite the following.
Yeah, he always does. And especially here lately, he's been doing a lot of hidden gem videos, hidden gem Genesis and PlayStation and GameCube and other things. And one thing that a lot of people are complaining about is those hidden gem videos that he does immediately skyrocket the value of common games that are easy to find. I never totally agreed with that logic. And there's a link that I put in the show notes to a YouTube video of a guy who is way more smart with numbers than I am, that actually broke down 5 years of videos, gem videos, and would go back and look at price charting's ebb and flow and see when that video come out and what the prices were of the games when that video, a couple weeks after that video landed. And his conclusion was that there would be a small spike in the prices.
Sure, for a
bit, and then they go down. And what he determined is people that watch the video are flippers. And they see a video of Metal Jesus or somebody else doing a video of a Hidden Gems. They go to either their local store or eBay. They buy up all the copies of that game and then turn around and sell them again at an inflated price, which jacks up price charting and everything else because they take eBay into account.
Right.
And that made a lot of sense. But my question is it maybe at time, I don't understand why we as video game collectors don't have a gold standard for prices on games. They take in too much eBay, because I'll give you a good example. I bought that copy of James Buster Douglas Knockout Boxing for the Master System, and I sold it on eBay. If you went on price charting at the time, it was going for, their value was $210 or something like that, somewhere around the $200 mark. So I put it on eBay for $180, couldn't sell it, dropped it down, finally took offers on it, and I sold it for $160. But after I did that, I went back and I started looking at the price chart algorithm. You could see the sold listings that it takes. And what it was doing was they would have complete copies selling for $250 to $275 that were listed as cart-only copies, which would jack up the price of the cart-only copies. So if you really looked at it and looked at the cart-only copies, they were only going for about $160, $170. But that's a situation of eBay, people not listing things right and jacking up a price when they sell.
And that's not price charting's fault,
No,
I'm sure they don't have the manpower to sit there and manually, skim through and monitor everything that comes through for all these games. Just the multitudinous games that are out there.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's unfortunate because, if it's not listed properly, there's, it's not like price charting is the only site that pulls from eBay for this information.
Well, and that's the thing that a lot of people, I don't want to say I have a behind the scenes thing on how people run their local video game stores, because not everybody does this, but Matt's uses a POS, which is a point of sale system for those who don't know what POS is. It's not the other POS.
No, it can be, though. They're not mutually exclusive.
Right, yeah. They can. And it actually pulls its prices from price charting. It connects online, and that's what it does. So when they get a game traded in, or somebody wanting to trade in a game and they look it up in their system, that's where it pulls it from. And then you can go in and adjust it however you want for your store. If you don't want to sell it for $90, you could sell it for $70. But, whatever. But, that's where I say, in comic books, for years, they have always had the Overstreet price guides. And they are books printed once a year that have the prices of everything, and they take, eBay auctions, they take private auctions, they take, any kind of sales in stores that they know of, bigger chain comic book stores, and this is how they come up with the values of things, and that is the gold standard, and it always has been. And they, I sold about half my comic book collection not too long ago. And, the guy was like, I had no idea how much anything was worth. So all I could do was go online and pull a bunch of comic book prices from the online things. And true collectors don't pay any attention to what those online things say. They don't pay attention to eBay. They don't pay attention to these mom and pop or Joe Blow sites that have, listings for price guide values, because they pull from eBay, they fluctuate. They have the gold standard. They use Overstreet, and Overstreet says this book is worth this much, then that's how much they sell it for. And and I don't know how big, I'd have to look back in the history of Overstreet price guide. I don't know who started that. I don't know how they, I mean, I wouldn't think it would be a huge undertaking for somebody to go, we are going to make the, you know, the gold standard, the Kelly's Blue Book of video game books, and we'll print it once a year. This is the prices that they're worth. We know how many's in circulation. We know this and that and that and this. You know, we take all these different factors. I don't know, because when you try to buy games online, there's such a fluctuation of prices, and if you do it on Facebook, people want whatever price charting's asking. Or maybe this other Facebook group doesn't do price charting. They do, I forget the other price guide website that's out there. We take it, and it's usually about 10% cheaper than price charting. Well, how is it 10% cheaper? Do they just take the eBay prices and slash 10% off of? How do they come up with this number? You know,
right? Like, what's the algorithm that they use
what's the algorithm
reach that end number?
Yeah, you know, I mean, take a game like Panzer Dragoon Saga. I know that's a hard to find game. Sega has said there's less than 20,000 copies left in the world of the United States version, so that's pretty rare. And then you got other things like the limited run games that have come out, and they only print 2,500 copies of this game. You know, anybody could sell those for whatever they want. Sure. There's no price guides on those. There's nothing. You're going to pay whatever, or they'll sell for what anybody's willing to pay for them.
Exactly. And I think that's the big issue. The inherent flaw in having a gold standard is because it's worth whatever it is worth to you, whatever someone will pay for it. Yeah. And you know, you have condition to take into consideration, right. And it's more than outer condition, or, you know, because you got and corrosion, and there's just so much involved with the circuitry and stuff, to all these different points to say, well, is this in good condition? You know, if it's a consoleized thing, or the capacitors and this, that, and the other, are those good? You know, the soldering joints nice and clean, and you know, I just feel like an undertaking like that would be huge, and you need a team of like 100% dedicated people, like as their job, you know, like a 40-hour work week doing this stuff to try to get something like this going. And I just don't know if anyone's going to invest the time and the money into doing something like that. And plus, when you think about it, I feel like comic book collecting's been around a lot longer than video game collecting.
It has. You're right.
We're still in a stage of relative infancy. You know, we're just breaking out of the wild west of you know, of collecting, as more people are flooding the market, and it's becoming more of a commonplace thing.
Right. But you know, and that's the thing too, is when do we come out of that infancy?
Right.
You know, when is we're going into generation 9 or 8?
I think it's 8 or 9. Yeah,
8 or 9 in consoles now. I mean, we're talking mid 70s. You know, so I mean that's
but
a long time.
Considering, like, you know, factors like the video game crash of '83 that put us all back, all those years we had gotten into I say we, I mean, I wasn't even there, but you know what I'm saying, like us as a community, you know, it took us back, you know, and it wasn't like a collecting thing, even up into the days of like FuncoLand and, you know, the NES being no longer in print. Like, people weren't buying up those games thinking they were going to be collectible items, because it had never occurred to anybody until like the mid 90s that, hey, some of these games could be worth money, and some of these games I would like to have. I want to collect these. Well, you know, so when you consider,
go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I'm sorry. So when you consider, like, going back to what I was saying about us being in a relative stage of infancy, we've really only started really ramping up as a video game collecting community since, like I said, the early to mid 90s in general. You know, I mean, I'm sure there were some people that were, you know, on the early end of things, you know, some people just, hey, I'm into this, I'm going to collect it. You know, I'm sure people were collecting Atari games when they were brand new, but that was not the norm.
Well, but, you know, even Star Wars toys, you know, when they came out, you know, and now you look at them, you know, and they're about the same age as Atari games and stuff like that. And, you know, and there's price guides for those. And, you know, this figure.
That's true.
And, you know, and the thing is that you take into account in those books, if you ever look through an Overstreet price, I mean, that sucker it's a Bible. It is that thick.
Sure. Well, yeah, it's got to count for every make, model, variant, you know.
And it's got mint, you know, fine, you know, very fine, poor, you know, it's got a listing for all those different, you know, things. I mean, I don't know. It would be a big undertaking, but, you know, Beckett can do it for sports cards and toys, and, you know, Overstreet can do it for comic books. It's just, I think it's time for somebody to, set some kind of standard. Price charting is great at a glance, but man, you could go on there one day and a game may be worth $54, and then you go on there 3 days later and it's worth 20.
Right.
It ebb and flows so much.
Exactly. I was just about to get to that and say, like, I think that's a big difference as well, with the Beckett and all those companies that do these, other things. Those are more stable. Those have always been and they always will be, a sort of thing. But video games, it's a risky thing to jump into, to put this much time and effort into it, because like you said, it is such an up and down. It varies by the day, and it hasn't hit like a stage of somewhat consistent behavior. And I don't know. And people have been speculating that the collector bubble is going to pop soon, so that would drive prices down. I don't think it's going to, personally. I think it's going to, if it does, it's not going to be for another 10 or 15 years when there's just way too many collectors and not enough collectibles.
Well, I think what's going to happen with that is people collect series. You collect Nintendo. Sure. Some people collect NES. Some people collect Genesis. Once those people... we've kind of seen a drop-off of prices of some NES games, I think because so many of the big collectors completed their set, they've moved on to something else, so that demand for those games aren't there right now, so the prices kind of drop a little bit. I mean, Super C was like that. It was a game, when I first started at Matt's, it was $50 all day long. Now you can get it for like $25, And a lot of it has to do with what comes out emulator-wise, the Genesis collection or the NES collection or whatever,
And maybe that's another reason why, because these things are getting re-released in digital format and on classic consoles, and even if you're Capcom, special edition cartridges for reproduction cartridges for $200. Ridiculous. I don't get it. That's another.
There's only 100 of them. I mean, it's
but that just goes to saying that there's so many variables that affect the market that it's kind of volatile.
Yeah.
And again, like, for someone to try to do something like that, I just don't know if it's ready. I don't know if it's ready. In a perfect world, that would be fantastic. I would love it. I'd get one every year. Be like, yes, please. I could, do a comprehensive look on all of my collection. It'd be good for tax purposes, because then you can put, this is the standard, this is what they're worth, this is what I'm going to get if in the event of a fire or whatever.
Yeah, your insurance and
exactly. Instead of just trying to say, well, I think it's this much, but it would be great to have something like that. But I don't think we're going to see it anytime soon. And I think price charting and other sites like that, unfortunately, are going to be the closest we're going to get for a while, because it's really, it varies, but it's the best resource if you're looking for at least a ballpark price before you start diving into numerous sold listings and archaic data like that.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just that was, I don't know about you, just buying a house. If you took in consideration for your video game collection, for your insurance purposes.
We had renter's insurance before that we had bumped up for the collection as well. So we've always been kind of mindful of that. You hit a certain point, you kind of have to start thinking in dollars and cents, even if you're not looking at selling. You need to know what your stuff's worth in case I have to replace it.
Right, and I have an app on my phone that, I won't say every game I own, because it doesn't do every game, but it does all the classic games up to Wii are all on my phone, and I can look back and go, okay, this collection that I have just of this and this and this is worth about $15,000. What's our homeowner's insurance? Well, it's this amount. Well, if the house burns down, there isn't enough money to replace that. And it's kind of, you bump it up. And, it's kind of hard, because then you go to the insurance company and go, well, I need to bump it up for this. And they're like, well, why? Well, I've got this collection. Well, where are you getting these prices from? How do you know this? You just got to take my word for it that this is, because I got nothing to point them at. I don't have a book to go, here you go, you could look through this and see it. And I mean, I don't know, I wish there was, you could have that book but still have the online, and something that would just be a baseline, just say it will never be any lower than this, or it wouldn't be, if you're looking for how much this is going to be worth. But I don't know. But for people to jump all over Metal Jesus or John Hancock or whoever else to say that they're doing videos for video game gems just to bump. I mean, people are accusing Metal Jesus.
What do they have to gain? That's such a stupid, asinine argument. I just think, and Mini Rant, going back to that, like, as a YouTuber that hasn't been active very recently, I need to get back into it. I got some stuff planned. Too. Wink, wink. But
check it out at YouTube.
Yeah, follow me. Look in the description. But I mean, it's like, how are you going to blame them? Like, they love video games. It's what they're passionate about. They have built this audience, and some of them monetize. The bigger ones like Metal Jesus Rocks and stuff, they monetize. A lot of their primary incomes from it. They're going to put stuff up there that people want to see. People want to see games they've never seen before. They don't want to see the same old, oh, well, look, here I'm going to review Mario Brothers 3. Because everyone's friggin' played it. Like, sure, people might want to hear that person's perspective, but, you know, they're showing you what you want to see. They're showing you what they want to show you, what they're passionate about.
Mm-hmm.
And they're spreading the information on these great games that have affected them that they want other people to experience, and then you're going to accuse them of just trying to drive up the price or blame them for the price going up because there's a couple of bad people out there that are being shady and, you know, flipping the stuff just because, oh, well, hey, more people are aware of this, I better buy up while I can so I can sell them for twice the amount I bought it for. And that's stupid. That's a bad frame of thought. Do not blame the performer or the entertainer, I guess is a better word. Don't blame the entertainer.
Don't kill the messenger. They're the ones that brought it.
Like, it's stupid.
And this is what they do for a living. You know, this is what he does for a living. He does nothing else but public appearances and makes money off YouTube. So, I mean, this is going to be his content. And, you know, we used to do, when Gooser Nation was around, we wrote articles like that all the time. We really don't do it a lot anymore on the GamerZone site because we get so many games in for review. That's about all we have time to do is write reviews. We really don't have time to write editorial stuff anymore. Because we just don't have that many people. But, you know, we used to do that all the time. We used to write articles about, these top 10 Dreamcast games that you have to play, or, you know, you have to buy, or
5 great RPGs.
Something like that. And, you know, but at that time, you know, collecting wasn't where it's at today, you know, so we didn't, and we were just a small blip on the internet. We didn't cause a spike in anything. But, you know, I could have easily, looking back at the James Buster Douglas thing, I could have easily swapped the market on that thing so quick, because there was only 3 of them on eBay, and they only sell like once every 2 months. So, you know, if I would have sold it for some exorbitant amount, it would have just shot price charting's, you know, algorithm are up. But like I say, the one thing that I can't stress enough, if you use price charting, be sure to actually look through the listings that they have. They got 6 months worth of listings there that you could pull from, or more than that if you go back far enough, and you could actually click on them and see, was this actually a loose copy? Oh no, it was a copy with the case and the box. It didn't have the instruction book with it, but it was sold as a loose copy, even though to me that's not really a loose copy. It's just not complete, but it's not a loose copy. If it's got a box, it's not loose. But
And again, what people need to understand is that things like price charting, it's not going to be foolproof. And if you're looking at a quick, at-a-glance ballpark value, then it's a great resource.
Right.
But if you have something that you're trying to sell, or you have something that you might buy that's a high-dollar game, and you want to make sure that you're not going to be overpaying, do the research yourself. Go into eBay, filter by sold auctions, and compare the condition. Get yourself your own average of whatever you see in the recent sales. You know, and that's how you need to do it. But again, if you just want like a, you know, hey, I'm just curious, I got this old game, I wonder what it's, oh, hey, cool, you know, what about this game? You know, then price charting is great, you know, but take it with a grain of salt and do the proper research.
Yeah.
You know?
And that's the first thing I do. I see somebody on Facebook selling something I go to price charting and they want top dollar price charting for it. And then I immediately go to eBay and I look back through and say, well, let's see how much they're really sold for.
Right.
And then,
because a lot of people, when they're selling it, they'll look on eBay and they'll say, oh, this is a buy it now for $100. That must be what it's going for.
People selling it for.
Yeah.
And people locally
they look at what they're
that.
selling for, not what they sell for.
Yeah, and that's my first question is, well, I'll offer you this much because that's what they actually sell for. Well, eBay says it sells for this. Are you
show
looking
me
at
the listing?
Yeah,
show me the listing.
Are you showing? Are you looking at sold listings? Or are you looking at active listings? Because if it's active, it actually hasn't sold yet. People
will ask for anything. I mean, you see people selling NES consoles, you know, sun faded yellow version for like, you know, $150. That doesn't mean that that's what they're worth. That just means what this dumbass is trying to get.
Right. It aggravates me. It absolutely aggravates me. And that's why I wish there was some kind of standard. Someday I know there will be. Someday there will be.
It's not an unreasonable request, but I don't think we're there yet.
No, I don't. Deep down inside, I don't think we are either. I want to be. But, at this point, I'm not buying up everything. I'm not trying to set out and say, I want a complete box set of Genesis games. I don't even, very rarely do I buy anything off. I'm a member of several Facebook groups, and once in a blue moon, I'll buy something off of there. That Alex Kidd in Shinobi World was a good price. It was hard to find. I bought it just because I never see it before. I hadn't seen it before. But most of the time, I don't go to. We have a couple local stores within an hour and a half. I'm not there very often, so it's not like I buy a lot from them because when I don't go there that often. But most of the time, what I buy is yard sales, people listing on the local Facebook group or Let Go or something like that, and it's usually people that want a fair price for something.
Because they're just trying to clear out clutter.
Yeah, they just want to clear out clutter in the house. I bought that Mega Man X game for $5 the other day. $5. Yeah, and after I got home and saw the condition of it, it was totally worth $5, and I wouldn't have paid much more than that because I finally got that SOB to work, and it took me forever. But it's just stuff like that. It just aggravates me when people do that.
Understandably so.
I'm not a big Metal Jesus or John Hancock fan, but I do watch their videos if it's something that looks interesting to me.
Same.
But I don't go online and start raging on them because, oh great, they just put Burnout in their PlayStation 2 great hidden gems thing. So great, that thing is going to be $40 on eBay now.
Who gives a shit? You're probably not going to buy it anyways. Quit your bitching. Mm-hmm. It's just there's always going to be somebody out in the crowd shaking a stick just for the sake of shaking a stick.
Well, and that's the way the internet is. People got to hate.
Yep.
It's like one of the guys that used to write for us. He got a job and couldn't do it anymore. He was on Twitter a lot, and he kind of disappeared. And I sent him a message on PlayStation the other day, like, "Hey, I hadn't seen you on Twitter or talked to you or anything. Everything okay?" "Oh yeah, I left Twitter because there was just too much hate on Twitter."
Yeah, there's a lot of.
I laughed at him. I said, "Then you're following the wrong people. I don't see no hate on my timeline."
That's true. Yeah, it's like it always trips me out when people are like, "Oh, Facebook causes too much drama." I'm like, yeah, if you let it. Yep. If you let it, ever think that the drama might be you?
Put down the Facebook.
Yeah, right.
Oh, well.
And put your face in a book.
Yeah, really. A real book. Or a comic book. Or something.
Or strategy guide, a Nintendo Power magazine.
Yeah, I've got a bunch of those. I forgot. I got a bunch of those Nintendo Power magazines. I need to sort them.
Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was like, I got a stack about that high.
Nice. I've got quite a few as well, but like I said, my game room's smaller, so I had to get rid of one bookcase. Also, my futon, I'm sitting in a recliner now.
Yeah.
So I've just got 2 boxes of Nintendo Powers sitting in my closet in the game room that I have nothing. I don't know where to put them. I have nowhere to put them. I'm not getting rid of them. I can bet you that.
I have the complete run of GamePro magazines except for issue 1.
Wow.
My mom bought me a subscription to that the year it started. And I didn't get issue 1 because I bought issue 2 in the store. She had kept me a subscription to that every year for Christmas until it was gone. And I got them when I was married. I've got all of them from 1989 to whenever they stopped publishing that. Mm-hmm. I've got half of them here. Half of them at Mom's. I really need to bring them here, sort them, because I don't know. I've got a big majority of them here because I like to sit and read them sometimes, especially the old the old ones that have like the Genesis. The greatest new Genesis thing is coming out. The Neptune 32 is coming out.
Ooh.
And then I'm like, yep, that thing never saw the light of day.
The Nintendo Dolphin.
Mm-hmm. See an advertisement for Neo Geo or something like that,
Right.
And then I had a bunch of old Electronic Gaming Monthlies, PC magazines, Game Informer, stuff like that. I sold those all before we moved, and then then we moved back here, and then somebody was selling like 70 copies of Nintendo Power for like $10 on Craigslist, and I had to buy them. It was like, I bought them, and now it's like, daggone it, I just got rid of all those magazines, and now I've got another 70 of them back.
But Nintendo Power was such a quality magazine until N64.
Yeah.
Until N64 is when it started getting a little weird and trying different things. I think their popularity started to fade. And then I think it started coming back a little bit in like the late GameCube. Mm-hmm. And then it just, everything is digital now, and I just couldn't. That was a sad day when I got my last Nintendo Power. It's such a huge part of my childhood. I
actually have a Patreon subscription to Nintendo Force.
Is that the UK one, or is that an independent?
It's an independent one that got the blessing from Nintendo to publish a Nintendo magazine that is very much like Nintendo Power.
Send me a link to that when we're done.
I will. It is. I've maybe the past year and a half. It's a bi-monthly, so you get it once every 2 months.
Sure.
I get the digital and the print for, I think it's $6 or something like that. I mean,
nice.
Yeah, so I'll even send you a couple of the digital magazines for you to check out, see if it's something you might want to support.
Yeah, that'd be great.
It's really cool.
I had Pure Nintendo magazine for a year, and that was pretty good. The really thick, like quality magazines, like cardstock and stuff. But it just, I wasn't really reading them. It didn't captivate me in the same way that Nintendo Power did. Yeah. It's a well-done magazine, and they're still doing it. And I strongly suggest that you check it out. It might be your thing, Pure Nintendo magazine. But I just, if I'm not reading them, I'm not going to spend the money on it,
Yeah. I read once or twice, and then I put it on the bookshelf upstairs. I've got one of the, I got an IKEA shelf that has a magazine rack on it that lifts up so I can stack my
Nice.
Looks like a doctor's office, but
that's what I'm saying. I want to get a nice magazine rack. I think that'd be cool to have.
Yeah, if you go to IKEA and get like one of the regular bookcases, it's just a metal bar that'll allow you to take the bookcase shelf and tilt it up with a little lip on it. It's that's like cool. $5. I mean, it's like cheap, and then you can have a nice, looking rack that you can nail to the wall, or if you can find a magazine rack, Yeah, I have all mine attached to the wall. I have all mine attached to the wall. They don't even that long thing there that has the systems on it that has screws in it that long and about that thick, so it's hanging on the wall so it won't fall off. I have nieces and nephews that are 3 years old and 1 year old, and I really don't want them coming over and trying to climb up if they try to climb up the bookcase, it's going to fall, so I had to anchor them all to the wall. So
that's fair.
Yeah, and plus it's just nice because if I bump into it, it doesn't fall.
That's good too. That's a definite plus.
Of course, then it also, if I bump into it, it doesn't fall over, so it hurts. But
yeah, there's no give there.
No, there is no give at all. So, all right, cool. We're going to call that an episode. Thank you guys for listening, hanging out in the chat room. We appreciate everybody that's dropped in and took a peek at the chat. I don't like to call people's names out, especially ones that are in the chat that really hadn't said anything. You don't want to call out people. So,
but, some people lurk. That's totally okay.
Yeah, I'm all for lurkers. You're more than welcome to lurk here. So, but yeah, if you what's up? Go ahead.
I was going to say, John. So should we throw out like a hashtag, or should we throw out the Twitter out there to see if anyone has any like potential topics they want to hear us talk about?
Yeah, we could do that. We could do a hashtag. I gotta think of something real quick. Maybe, or
you just like send to the Twitter.
Yeah, I'll put it out on the Twitter. I'll put out a hashtag for something for show topics, because it'd be cool. But yeah, it's like I tried this time when I tweeted it out. I tried to put kind of what we were talking about, maybe try to pique some people's interest to come say in and join the chat and give us your opinions. Now that they got the low latency mode here on Twitch, it's we can kind of get it a little faster than we could before.
Viewer interaction is a little bit better, so that's a good thing.
It is a little bit better. You have a little more frame rate and stutter with it, but it's coming along. But it's not it's not terrible. Not too bad. But but you can check out the website, the-gamers-lounge.com. We have reviews. We don't do a lot of news much anymore. Like I said, we've gotten to the point where we get so many review codes, it's kind of hard. I've got guys doing 2 or 3 games at a time now. I really got to cut back on games. We're getting too many. You can follow me on Twitter at JCMeadows94. Danny's at DPadDanny. Check out Danny's Twitch page. You stream Mondays, Tuesdays, for
and
sure.
Whenever else
and
I
then
feel
whenever
like,
else you feel like it. So that's twitch.tv /DPAD Danny. You can send us emails if you don't have Twitter. Send us emails retro@the-gamers-lounge.com. That way, if you have show topics or you have an opinion on something that we've talked about, I'm more than happy to read it on the air and talk
love
about
to hear
it.
from you.
Yeah, so definitely there's different ways to contact us there, and we're at Back to Bits, back to, not the number 2, actually Back to Bits on Twitter. So you can check us out there if you so are on the Twitter. I know some people aren't, but that's okay. And we're on Facebook too. I think it's the Gamers Lounge. Is if you search it on Facebook. I'm not the one that runs the Facebook, so I don't know much about the Facebook.
Right.
I use Facebook Messenger, but I don't know much about the Facebook. So. But yeah, and you can grab the podcast wherever. There'll be a backup of this stream on the Twitch page, and it'll be on our YouTube page. I'll always dump a copy of it there as well. And you can subscribe to us anywhere that you can get your podcasts. We're on iTunes, we're on Stitcher, we're on Podbean, we're on wherever you get your shows at. So thanks a lot, guys, for hanging out and listening.
Absolutely.
And we will catch you guys next week.
Take care.
Next time, next week.
Next time.
Whenever
Next month, who's to say?
Yeah, who's to say? All right, let me save that before I forget. Did I ever tell you I did that one time? That was not cool.